All right, folks. Well, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune because it means it's time for another week of the Rec.poker podcast. I'm your host, Jim Reid, Bluffsterini in the home game, and at Rec.poker Jim on Twitter, where I like to hang out with all my poker and football friends. If you're new to Rec.poker, thanks for tuning in. We're a group of amateur recreational poker players. We like having fun with this game that we've enjoyed. We play poker. We play poker. It's fun, but it's more fun when you win. So we try and learn together. We study together. We learn from the pros. We watch training videos. We post in the forums. We play in the home games. There's just a million ways to enjoy the process of learning poker together in a community here at Rec.poker. So I encourage everyone to go get a free Rec.poker account. Just go to rec.poker and sign up. All it takes is an email address and a smile. But because so much of what we do is free and we're a largely volunteer organization, I have to thank our sponsors, the Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and Mark Prashon over at website AMP. And I also have to thank our Wrecking Crew members. The Wrecking Crew is kind of the core team of members here who put a lot of work into our hand analysis, creating our training videos, the discussions we have on the podcast. A lot of our study groups are led by Wrecking Crew members. And it's just a place to come and share your love of poker with other serious recreational players around the world. So if you want to learn more about the Wrecking Crew or me, you can go to rec.poker/crew. But you don't have to go right now because you're going to meet one member of the Wrecking Crew right now, the one and only Taylor Moss.
Hey, how's it going? Taylor Moss here at Taylor_Moss on Twitter and Gopher Boy TJM in the Rec.poker home game.
Taylor is often cast as a villain on these podcast episodes because he can't always make the show. And so Chris and John and Rob and I like to give him the gears. But he's here tonight along with our premium member, Eric Anderson, who you might remember from last week's episode. Eric's a prolific poster in the forums and very active on Discord and our home games. And we're going to talk about the WSOP tonight. We wanted to invite our man, Eric, to the show. So, Eric, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Good to see you guys again.
And you're E. Anderson 85 everywhere, right? You've got that down?
Well, not everywhere, but in Rec.poker world, I'm E. Anderson 85.
There you go. So if you see someone in the home game stealing your chips called E. Anderson 85, now you've got a voice to go with the name. Thanks, Eric. This is going to be a fun conversation, I think. So we are here in the forums edition of the podcast, which means that we're going to be talking a little strategy. Monday night, we're playing in the Rec.poker home game. It's free to join, competing for each other's chips. And every Monday night, we take a forum post and we talk about it here on the air. Tonight, we're not going to take a forum post, but we're going to take a hand example from this year's World Series of Poker and talk about that instead. So I don't know if I've already mentioned tonight, have the best freaking job in the world. I get to hang out with cool poker people and talk about poker all the time. I don't know if you can tell, but I really like poker. And playing in the World Series of Main Event is something that's been on my list for not even that long. Because if you told me a few years ago, I would have told you it's just not even possible. But I was able to win a satellite league this year. I won a ticket to the main event. I probably didn't study as much as I should have going down to it, but I made it all the way to the end of day 2 and had a phenomenal time. The results were average, but the experience was above average. I got to just soak it all in. I got to meet all sorts of great people. I got to cross this off my bucket list to play in the World Series of Poker main event. And I'm still tingling, to be honest with you. It was a month ago, but it was a pretty special experience. And I encourage everyone that has an extra $10,000 kicking around the couch cushions to go and give it a try.
Yeah, I got to ask Jim. Whenever I play a tournament, especially if I haven't played for a while, I sit down and I have the jitters, yeah. That feeling in the stomach, the nervousness. Yep. I have to imagine in the main event, that feeling lasts for a really long time. Did you have the jitters, and how long did it last?
Well, I mean, you're right. And that's I'm sure it's true for everybody. I definitely I mentioned this on a chats edition of the podcast recently. I
wasn't there for that, and everyone makes fun of me at those versions. So, like, fill me in, okay? Forget the other guys.
All right, I'll do it just for you, Taylor. That's right.
Thank you.
So I mean, when you sit down, I had a couple goals. My first goal was just not to be the first person to bust, and so up until you hear those magical words, "seat open." There is some tension, and you just, I did not want to be the first person to bust. And then my second goal was just, I didn't want to bust in the first level. So the first 2 hours of the main event. And then once I got past that, I didn't want to bust on day one, but if the right spot came up, I was totally comfortable busting on day one. You get aces in versus fives. I don't need to tell you how often some stinky five comes up on the turn, and all of a sudden you're out of the tournament, even though it's a garbage hand and you've done everything you can to get it in good. But that it's just garbage. but that didn't happen. So I found a bag at the end of day one. I woke up on day two, totally comfortable with busting on the first hand on day two. And I honestly felt really loose and very comfortable. It is just a poker tournament after all. And even though it's got a ton of sharks in it, it's a function of the main event that there's a lot of recreational players like me in there as well. And I honestly felt like in that field, I was holding my own, maybe even more than I was expecting. So I really didn't feel that tight. I'll be honest with you, Taylor. I don't get to play live that often. And so if it's been like a month or 2 months between sessions, I get a little jittery that first orbit, even just in my local card room. And if I get a big pocket pair in the first couple orbits, I can tell my heart's racing a little bit and getting a little flushed. And so I think probably the first few orbits, I definitely was like a little starry-eyed and not really comfortable necessarily. But truly, I don't know if it's because I've played in a few bracelet events now, and so I just feel a little more comfortable in the dynamic. And there were people there that were less experienced than me, and that did just kind of help me feel a little more comfortable and feel like I was in my element. I didn't feel like I was out of my element, and that really did help a lot. That really did help a lot. But it does make for a very interesting dynamic, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. People feeling uncomfortable, people not wanting to bust, and how we can use that to apply some pressure and maybe to pick up some chips that we wouldn't otherwise. But when we were talking with Eric before we went live here on the show, he was saying that, for people that don't have a chance to get down there, like what's the experience like, and like what are some of the off the felt factors that you should be considering when you're setting up for it? And Eric, you're in a perfect position here because Taylor and I were roommates staying at the wonderful Flamingo Hotel right across the street from Paris Valleys. And we had to figure out all sorts of logistics, from check-ins and extra access cards to changing reservations to weird noises coming from the fan in the middle of the night. There was a lot of logistics to
getting locked out of the room.
Oh yeah! Oh, I forgot about that. That was.
Of course, you'd forget about that. I did.
I wasn't. I was already gone by then.
Yeah.
You were like, no, Jim really told me that he booked the room for an extra day. Please, my stuff's in there. So you never know what's going to come and make you feel a little uncomfortable. And Eric, so sorry. You mentioned off the top, sort of like knowing where the washrooms are and like having a game plan. What do you kind of envision? Like Eric, I don't know if you do much traveling to play poker live, but like, what are the kind of things that you'd want to be thinking about, or the kind of things that you'd be worried about before you took a trip like that?
To be honest, I've never traveled to play poker, so it's all new to me. And
like a lot of our listeners, I think, yeah.
There's a lot of questions that I really don't know. Like, how long are your breaks? You got 5,000 guys trying to pee in 15 minutes.
Yep.
Do you get up early? Do you just skip a blind if you have to go to the restroom? Or I don't know how any of that works.
I mean, that's a real strategy decision. Definitely some people will get up a little early and go do it. And even just like knowing where the washrooms are is pretty key. That was one thing that they did right this year. They had their washrooms were right outside the convention center, and so it was easy to go. But there's a line 70 or 90 people long for sure. And some, most of the tournament breaks were 20 minutes. I won't swear that that's the time across all of them. Maybe some are 15 or something like that, but they are aware that that is going to be an issue. So they do build in enough time for that. But I've said this before. I'd say go early wherever you're traveling to play. Get there early, scout out the scene, walk through the rooms, find out where the washrooms are, and ask questions. Ask questions of the floor staff, the security staff, the hotel staff. Because you do want to be comfortable, and you don't want to be kind of figuring that stuff out as you go. But the washrooms are a great example.
Yeah, I mean, for that one, it's like, at least for my mind, it's like, how bad do you have to go? If you do, like, leave early, like missing a hand is not going to be the worst thing in the world. But if not, I wait till the end of the break, right? It's got like 20-minute breaks or whatever it is. I'll just walk around for 10 minutes. And then when I go to the washroom, guess what? No lines. I get in, out, don't have to sit there and feel like I'm being impatient and all that other jazz. Just time things out better. It just makes sense. Or know where the second closest washroom is, because that won't be nearly as busy as the closest one. Literally, people won't walk to the next one, even if it's only, an extra 50 yards away. So, yeah.
And I thought that might be
early.
I thought that might be a strategy too, is try to get a room on the second floor.
Yes.
We could just run upstairs to your room.
That's what I did. My wife convinced me to stay on campus for the main event. Earlier in the series, Taylor and I were sharing a room at the Flamingo, which was right across the street. Super convenient, but just too far away to make it there and back in 20 minutes if you had to go to the bathroom or whatever like that. Just, it was just too far away. But I stayed at Bally's in Paris for the main event run, and I could get to my room comfortably and back in 20 minutes, use the washroom, swap out my warm water bottle for a cold water bottle, all that kind of stuff. I think it was either Jonathan Little or Daniel Negreanu on the show a little while ago who said their strategy was to find the washroom that you had to walk 5 minutes to get to, because it was going to be far away from the other tournament players. And you still got the experience of stretching and taking that walk as opposed to standing in line for 10 minutes and then going to the bathroom and then just having a short walk back to your table. So you're bang on the money there. That's a really good one to think about. It's giving yourself that bathroom B option.
Another question I had was about meals. What do you do? How long were the days to start with? Did they go to their certain number of players or a certain level usually, right?
Yeah, they always say, and it's a really good thing to consider, because it's the thing that I deprive the most. I turn into a one meal a day type of person and just try and consume as much calories as I can, which isn't the right way of doing it. What I tried to do this year when I was out there with Jim, we tried to get all the essential requirements to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but the entire city of Las Vegas must have been on a peanut butter shortage, and we could not find peanut butter.
I couldn't believe it.
You should see the text that we had going back to each other too. I was like, I'm at CVS, nothing here.
Yeah, well, I'm at Walgreens. Yeah, they got jelly here. Do you have any bread?
But if I found another CVS, still no peanut butter. So that's what we tried to do. But if I was going for it, I'd understand when dinner breaks are, and then also just have stuff with you to help hold you over. And I mean, everyone could say much better things, but get trail mix type of stuff, granola bars, things that somewhat good for you and easy to carry around and don't need to be refrigerated, just as backup option. Otherwise, you try and go to restaurants and they have out there everything close by, just like the bathrooms. Everyone goes to the close by ones to get stuff. And all the close by ones also, they jack up the prices, especially when they're at Bally's in Paris this year. I was like, hey, you can't get a meal for anything less than whatever. So it kind of.
I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was $16 for everything, and all the places. Like, it's Las Vegas, and I don't want to get us canceled or executed, but it's owned by the same 4 organized crime families. So like they have all this stuff figured out. It's definitely an oligarchy. They've got a monopoly on everything. So guess what? The Sbarro pizza is $16. The pasta next door is $16. You can get 2 hot dogs from the vendor for $16 or a burger for $16. And so they've kind of got that figured out. And all the places close by, like Taylor is saying, they're going to be busy, and it takes longer to order food and eat food than it does to pee. So if you're doing that on your same 20-minute break, you're really going to be in trouble. A lot of the tournaments will have the multi-day tournaments will have a longer dinner break, 75 minutes typically, and they tell you when that will be after so many levels. So you have a sense of, okay, at this point I'll be able to go and get a bite to eat somewhere, but you do have to have a plan, and you never know. Like, I'm a little thrifty, so I was a Subway guy, but I got down to Subway on my break for one of these, and it was like that was the half hour that they'd chosen to close to clean the counters and floors or something like that. And so I was just SOL. There was nothing I could do about it. So I ended up getting a Stromboli, a $16 Stromboli over at the Sbarro instead, which was delicious, but definitely knowing in advance, bringing, like Taylor said, trail mix or granola bars, a bag of peanuts or cashews. I like bananas. I like having bananas because they're easy to eat. You don't have to. There's not a lot of waste. They don't have to refrigerate them. And when you can find peanut butter and jam and bread, I honestly encourage people, go make 2 sandwiches, put them in a Ziploc bag, and throw them in your briefcase or your knapsack, whatever you're carrying around. And then you can eat them whenever you like, and just kind of put that hunger off, because you really don't want to be thinking about hunger, and you don't want to be thinking about
where am I going to go?
Yes.
Let me get out my phone and Google what places are around here. Like, you're there to play, and you got to pay attention to what's going on, not start Googling, is the Subway open, or are they on their floor cleaning break?
Yeah, that's right.
Will DoorDash or somebody deliver to your table, or is that
they won't deliver into the casino? I think there was a lot of people that got in trouble trying to like do that at the very start of the tournaments and stuff, but like, you maybe could get them to deliver outside the casino and meet them. You can order curbside from different places. One person that I was at a table with, right before the break, I saw him go on at his phone, and he went to PF Chang's, ordered to go order a carry out, and then saw him walk to the PF Chang's, walk in and grab it, and then walk right back out. So there's those types of options too. And if just have a plan.
And if you're down there with other people, and you're not all playing in the same tournament, or someone busts early, or if you're down there with a friend who's not playing, but they're there to support you, I mean, having a runner is great. If there's someone that can go get you a cold bottle of water, or go get a sandwich or a pizza or something and just bring it to you so that you don't have to spend that time walking and ordering, that's key. They're not going to be able to help you go to the bathroom unless they're like a really good friend, but they can probably help you put some food in your stomach, which is very, very helpful indeed. Yeah.
Another question I had was there was conversations earlier about signing up for the tournaments online.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys sign up at the cage, or was everything pre-ordered kind of?
Personally, I'm so tech phobic. I just didn't, and I'm international, so coming down from Canada, loading money onto the kiosk account, I just anticipated there being some problems with that. So I actually got a safety deposit box right there at the cage, and I just put my cash in there. And as the tournaments came up that I wanted to play, I just went right to one of the things that's nice about getting a safety deposit box of the WSOP is that it brings you right to the front of the line. So you can actually, you can skip the registration line for the entire time that you're down there and just go to the safety deposit box line, and you can register in tournaments there. So for me, that was the choice that I made. People that live in the States might find it easier to load up your kiosk account or your My WSOP account or whatever that was. Taylor, what was your choice for that?
I tried to find off times to go and like register for things. So I think we played in a couple events together that had like an 11 a.m. start. And I was like, I'm going to go down there at 9. I'm going to register and then I'm going to go eat before it and then like show up at 11. Yeah. So that's kind of the plan I took. And then if there was like dailies and stuff that were going on that I wanted to play in, try and just find off times to like go through and register. Because like trying to go through when there's a lot of people, it fluctuated a lot in terms of wait times. I bet you could have sat there and waited for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then same day, just at a different time, gone in and registered within a few minutes. So like very, very much fluctuating.
And the registration desk is open 24 hours. So there's very few people there quite late at night. If you're having a good time in Las Vegas and you're having a late dinner or some drinks or something like that, even though you're not in poker mode, I found the first time I went down, that was a great time for me to just show up and register for the next day's tournaments, or if I was going to play a few tournaments that week and I knew I was going to, just kind of pre-registering for a few of them advance. The other note on that is that sometimes when you register, they're going to give you 3 receipts, your own copy, the dealer copy, and then an actual receipt, a transactional receipt. And it's got your room, table, and seat number on it. But if you register a few days in advance, it's possible that they'll end up changing that room or seat number, or that table or seat number, because they need that room for something else. So I would just always confirm, go early. Just show up a little early, make sure that it's still happening in that room, go talk to someone on the floor and see, because you never know. You might be showing up in Paris black, but actually you're playing in Bally's blue. And now you got 3 minutes to make it all the way across the casino, and you show up at your table and you're all huffing and puffing and sweaty and uncomfortable. And that's not how you want to start your World Series of Poker experience.
What about the Diamond Club cards? Is that worth getting? Or
God, I'm so you struck a nerve there.
Tell the story, Jim. Let's go with this one.
You struck a nerve. We opened this. We were going to talk some strategy. We're definitely going to talk about a King 10 hand here later, folks. So stick around. I will tell a little short story. So one of the perks of the Diamond card is that if you're a cash game player, it puts you to the top of the cash game list. So for all the Caesars resorts, I've got a gold card. And you have to show your player's card to get on the cash game list. And I love playing cash, so I'm always trying to fill the hours in between busting tournaments by playing cash. I've got to build up a bankroll playing cash so I can punt it off in playing tournaments. And so I'd go get on the list. But of course, cash games aren't a priority during the WSOP. They've got all their dealers, all their tables all set up for all these tournaments. And so there's not that many games going, but there's a long list. And if you have a diamond card or a platinum card, when you walk up, you just go right to the top of the list. So honestly, it's expensive to get that card. I don't know what you'd have to do to how many hours you'd have to put in, or how many hotel stays you'd have to get, or what. But I can see it being really valuable, because there were times when I would show up to play, I'd get there at noon and put myself on the list, and I'd be 6th on the list. And then I'd go and scroll through Twitter for 2 hours waiting to get bumped up the list. And I'd go up and check. And at noon, I was 6th. And at 4, I was 12th, because there's just more diamond card people come in, and I'm moving further down the list. It was, so yes, if you have a diamond card or a platinum card, that has some value. I'm not sure it's actually worth getting it, but that's
what I was wondering, if it was worth it. And I heard Carlos Welch talking about he had a system for the easy way to get it, but I don't remember what it was. But satellites or something.
That's it. Yeah. Well, because he plays a lot. He also stays at Caesars properties a lot. He was staying at the Rio basically half the week, and then somewhere else the other half of the week. So I think you put enough dollars in their pockets, and they're very happy to comp you that diamond card. I mean, we should split this up into a couple episodes and just sort of talk a little more about the logistics of the WSOP and then get into that King 10 hand afterwards. I know we like to keep these forums editions pretty quick. Let's do that, in fact. So what are some other things, logistics, about your first big tournament or traveling to a tournament? Oh, I've got one. So it's going to be tempting to fly in the night before your big tournament, because a lot of us have day jobs and we can't take a lot of days off. And so if there's we're trying to tighten up our travel dates to be as efficient as possible. But in today's world, flights are getting delayed, flights are getting canceled. You just don't have the same kind of control over when you're actually going to land. And I was in that spot on this trip where one flight got delayed, another flight got canceled, and it really affected my ability to kind of come in rested, prepared, familiar with my, I had to check into my room the morning I was supposed to be registering, and I was supposed to be meeting Uncle George Sanford at the registration desk for the tag team event, and I'm carrying all this stuff, and it was a really frustrating experience, honestly. I don't get tilted very often, but it was not how I wanted to start my WSOP experience this year. So, we've said show up early, maybe even show up a day early, because worst case scenario, you get a day to familiarize yourself with the town, the casino, the room you're going to be playing in. I mean, wouldn't it be nice maybe get to play a daily and just knock some rust off and get real comfortable with the chips? The chips are going to be different colors and weight and stuff like that. Maybe there's different house rules in this casino that you're not used to in your local casino. And if your flight does get canceled or delayed or whatever, at least you're not showing up, a couple hours before you're supposed to play, because that can really kind of put the boots to a well-laid plan. So that would be another one. What else should we be thinking about here? Do you have any other specific ones? Yeah, take it.
You mentioned a briefcase or backpack earlier.
Yeah.
I assume you have a sweatshirt and a water bottle, some snacks.
Yep.
Maybe a battery for your phone or something.
You're hitting all the high notes. Yep.
Yeah, those are all really good. I mean, just the backpack itself can be so useful. Just because you're likely away from where you are. And just all those different things that you need, you're in Vegas heat outside. So if you ever want to go outside, you have to be dressed for Vegas heat, but then you go inside and it's usually cold in there. So you got to have something to keep yourself from shivering all the time and being uncomfortable. So I always throw that in there. Headphones, some people I've had to use those in other events because of the people around me and their chit chat, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was I need something to tone them out. As much as I love gathering information and hearing people talk about stuff, some things I just am done listening to. So I wanted to be done listening to some things. Batteries are huge importance, along with just power cords too. If you want to charge up your phone during breaks and things like that. Obviously snacks, just because you're hopefully planning on being out there for a while. So just throw those all in a backpack, keep them with you. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, I also carry a power bank, because when we're playing in these large field tournaments, often they're in convention centers. Smaller tournaments can be in the poker room of a casino or a hotel. When you do these multiple thousand person entrants, they set them up in pavilions and convention centers, and the tables that they have there aren't the new funky tables that are all plugged in and automated and powered. If you go to the Venetian, you can just plug your phone right in at the table there and charge it. But if you're playing in the main event, you're going to be on a perfectly sound, but kind of rickety, old school folding table. Yeah. And so you're going to need to have a power bank, especially, you should really just be focusing on poker, but I tweet a lot while I'm playing is kind of how I keep myself loose. And so I'm using my phone quite a bit. And if I didn't have a power bank, I'd have to, have a friend go charge it or something, because you're not going to be able to do it there at the spot. And then, a warmer layer for the top. I'm all about pockets. So I want to have pockets for everything I'm wearing, so I can put my phone or, what I just find they're really helpful. I don't wear a lot of shirts that don't have pockets. because that's just the kind of guy that I am. And yeah, basically what Taylor said: food, drink, a way to record notes, whether that's going to be on your phone or a notepad or something like that. You're going to have all these thoughts while you're playing. You're going to want to memorialize the hand so that you can talk about it with your friends later. Stuff like that, being able to record that stuff accurately. And
can you take pictures of the hands like when
room to room? Depends a lot from room to room. Some places have no problem with it. Some places will give you a penalty or disqualify you. Hardly anyone's going to just boot you out the first time you pull your phone out. Like I don't think that's not going to happen. But not every casino wants people recording what goes on in their secure locations, and so you should really just ask a floor person and see, because it is fun. And I think the card rooms that want to be viewed as a fun place and get their information shared on social media and stuff, they should be allowing us to take innocent photos of our hand and, the board and stuff like that. And giving away trade secrets by showing what was on the table at the time. But you should ask and just protect yourself, because you'd hate to get disqualified or something for something stupid like that. And if you're wearing, and if you have pockets, for God's sake, don't put your chips in your pocket. If you're walking from one table to another, you can have them in a rack, but do not. And it's different for cash games, of course. But in a tournament, you will be disqualified if you put your chips in your pocket, or if you ever take chips out of your pocket. It's a security measure, just so that they know that people aren't slipping chips onto the table. So that is one thing. Just make sure that your chips are visible at all time and on the table at all time.
Yeah. The other piece of advice that I'd say on this line is take pictures of your stack and your table when you go on break. A lot of people I've seen wandering around after break because they forgot where they were sitting. And people doing I had more chips than this. Someone took chips from me. If you've got photo proof, boom, there, you can get it taken care of and handled on the spot. It's a small thing to do, but it can help a ton. So do those two things to help yourself out.
I even do that when I park my car, because the photos are free now. So every time I park my car, I just take a photo and I know, A4. Okay. Even I can't forget that now. And even if you're not worried about your own chips, which, there's usually going to be a dealer there watching the whole time. But just like any other game or industry, there are some bad actors out there. And if someone does come with bad intentions, having a photo of your chips is really going to be helpful. But it's also going to be helpful if someone accuses you of taking their chips, because then you can say, well, here's how many chips I had when I left, and it's the same number I have now, and you can check my pockets. So it's just, again, it costs you nothing. It's easy to do. That is good advice, especially if you've been in a table change. Your ticket might not tell you what table to go back to after break. So you're like, oh yeah, and then I got put over in this part of the room, and there's like 600 tables over there. they all have a blue sign over top of them. Which freaking one am I supposed to be going to? So yeah, that's great advice too. What else, Taylor? What do you wish you'd known when you went down to yours, or other stuff like that?
The only thing that I guess still confuses me at different points is like which casinos take which cards, and like you got to have a player's card to play. There's the Caesars properties, there's the MGM, M Grand properties, whatever they are. Like I still get them all confused. But that's like something to know, especially like for Vegas, is like what casinos do you need to get a player's card for versus which ones you already maybe have one for.
Yep. And I
went with Samsky the first time, and he was able to be like, oh yeah, that one's good here, here, and here. And then this one's good here, here, and here. And I was like, thank you. You're not just good at all this home game setup. You're also able to direct me and tell me what to do.
Oh yeah. He's like an encyclopedia, man. That guy's not human. I've traveled. I'm not an extensive poker traveler, but I've traveled around the world. I've played in casinos all over, and I keep all my players' cards in the same little pocket of my briefcase. So no matter where, I've got a briefcase I take with me wherever I'm playing poker, and it's got some rec poker patches. It's got all my different playing cards. It's got my little Chippy, my little card protector that I carry with me. And, I know where I'm going to put my water bottle and my peanut butter and jam sandwich and that kind of stuff. And that's just because, I take comfort from being prepared in those kind of situations. But yeah, players cards is a great example. And give yourself time to do that before it's time to start the tournament, because otherwise there's going to be a lineup at the player's desk. And even though you might even be, well, no, they probably wouldn't let you register without it, but just go and take care of that in advance. That's really good advice. All right, Eric, anything else? We're not in a rush. If you've got more, let's get into it.
Well, you've answered most of my questions. I don't know. I think you've helped a lot.
Good.
And there's a lot. There's a lot of things that you really don't know until you get there. Like, do they take credit cards, or
right?
Can you do it online, or all that stuff. So,
and usually you can just tweet at KevMath, and he'll have the answers. To Kevin Mathers, who's a Wrecking Crew member here, is the poker Twitter czar, and he runs the World Series of Poker Twitter account, and he works with Hendon Mob. And if anyone ever has any questions about poker tournaments or structures or how to register or that kind of stuff, KEVMATH H, I guess is how you pronounce that in English. So give at KevMath a tweet, and he'll help you out for sure. Or you can just email me, Jim@rec.poker. But mostly I'm going to say, sorry, I can't help you with that, but you should be tweeting at KevMath. And
is he still at the Fun Country Games too?
He's often in there, and he's been in our OPA every Tuesday night for months. So a great resource to the poker world. Kevin's a fantastic
he really
fellow.
helps people a lot just in the Fun Country game.
Yeah. He's amazing, and I'm so glad he's part of our team here. We got lucky to get him on board. Well, so that's it, folks. Try and get there early. Whether that's a day early or an hour early, you decide. Make the walk from the hotel, walk through the convention center, talk to people, get comfy, ask stupid questions. This is the time. Like, you don't want to not have asked a question because you're worried about being stupid, and now you have to feel stupid because you don't know something that you could have known if you just asked a stupid question. So don't be afraid. And that's it. Then just go and kick some butt. Like our man Eric here, when he takes his next poker trip. I want a full report, Eric. I'm looking forward to getting all the details.
Okay. I'll go out with pocket eights, I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go. It's a very popular choice around here. A very popular choice. All right. Well, thanks, folks. Let's wrap this one up. I want to thank our sponsors, Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino, and Mark Prashon at Website Amp. And thanks to Eric for joining us, and Taylor, and you, the listeners. All right, everybody. See you again soon.